Hey everyone, I am so glad you're here and going to join me with finishing up this mani. I'm going to be using some flaky dips, and so I wanted to show how I use those. And so you can see I already have my solid color applied on the ring finger and the index finger. I'm going to do a little bit of a design with the flakies where they kind of go towards the middle, which will be solid flaky, and then I'm going to ombre the flaky on my thumb. So let's go. I'm using Vivacious by One Sparkly Mermaid, and you can see it is so amazing, so sparkly. The flakies are just so easy to work with. And so I like to put my flakies in a cupcake liner so that way I can lay my finger into them a little bit easier. But you can see just how incredibly shiny and holographic these flakies are. They're just beautiful. I did want to take a minute to compare flakes and foils. Now other people might have their own opinions on what differentiates these, but in my opinion, for me, when I'm working with these dips, I feel like the foils are definitely larger, thicker pieces. And so in this one you can see, which is called Audrey, which is also by One Sparkly Mermaid, the foils are a little bit bigger and thicker. They are also heavier typically than the flakies, and so I feel when I use the foils versus the flakies, I have to be a little bit more careful with my activator because the colors can bleed sometimes when you're using the foils versus when you're using flakes, in my opinion, from my experience. Here's another one that is foils, and you can kind of see just the larger pieces compared to the flaky dip. And so I know there were some people who were in the One Sparkly Mermaid group asking about the difference between foils and flakes, and so I just wanted to pull these dips to show and compare. In this one you can definitely see that the foils are much larger on the left when you compare them to the flaky dip. All three of these, in my opinion, again, I would consider flaky dips. You can see that they are much lighter and smaller, and they are mixed in with the powder there. And there's just many pieces compared to the foils where it's larger pieces. And so I'm just going to open up each of these and just kind of show the flakies in them, and also just kind of show off the colors, because if you guys haven't tried One Sparkly Mermaid, you really should give it a try. Her colors are absolutely amazing. So this is one of my favorites, just the teal and the different shades of blues and greens and purples, and that one is just gorgeous. And then this is the ultimate flaky dip. You can see all the different flakes in there. It is super light. When you open it, don't have any fans or anything going, because those flakes are going to just fly right on out of there. But it is so easy to work with, and that one I did a mani with a while ago, and it was just one of my favorites. So I'm just going to pour the whole jar into the cupcake liner and spread it out a little bit, shake it. To get the heavier or the bigger pieces of flakes to come to the top, you want to just kind of tap your jar or your cupcake liner with the powder in it, and it'll help make the flakes rise to the top, so that way any clear powder in there will go to the bottom. So I'm going to start by just doing the middle nail, which is going to be 100% flakes, and just go in with my dip base. I already have builder gel, which is what you can see there, and I like to throw flakes into my builder gel, so when I have inevitable pop-offs, it's still pretty and sparkly. But then I have the peel base on top, and I'm just doing my double dipped dip base liquids for the bottom. And so once you have your nail covered, you just want to gently press it into the flakes. And so I just press it in and kind of move it around to get coverage with the different dips. And you can see what that looks like whenever I have that on there. And you can also see that there's very few flakies that are sticking out all over the place. I know some flake dips are a little bit more just harder to work with. And then for this, what I'm doing here is just kind of pushing them down, but you could get a plastic baggie. I used to use a, those little plastic baggies where the, people sell their teaspoon of powders in. I used to use those, and that was really easy too. But then I discovered that if I just stick my finger in the powder, it helps keep the flakes from really sticking to my fingers or from me smearing it on my finger. And I'm able to just press it in a little bit easier. And any glue that is still not completely dried or might not have some flakes on it, maybe missed when I was sticking it in the powder, I can push some flakes on there with my finger. And then I just take this metal toothpick and I just kind of go around my cuticle line to move the flakes off my cuticle line, and if I can, I push them back onto my nail, or I just take it off completely. And then just give it a few seconds there for your dip base to dry, and then just brush those flakies off as best as you can. Be gentle. You don't want to scrape them off or anything, but just anything that's just kind of loose and not sticking to your nail, I just brush that off to get that off. And then we just do it all over again. So I'm going to use my dip base, and we're going to do another layer as my next step. And as you can see, I'm using that toothpick to kind of move those flakies around to get them off my cuticle line and push them back onto my nail, or just take them off, so that way I can try and keep my cuticle line as clean as possible. That was something that took me a super long time to really figure out the best technique for me, and so I know that cuticle lines are a huge topic. It's always tricky, but just lots of practice and being careful with that liquid. It just starts with that liquid, and I don't know if you noticed there, but I like to kind of start away from my cuticle line and push back into it, and then once the liquid's there, then I can just kind of go back over it. But being extra careful around your cuticle line is honestly like 75% of the battle when it comes to a clean cuticle line. If you are a little bit, I'm trying to think of the word here, which tends to happen to me a lot. If you stick around and watch any other videos I might have posted in other groups, you'll notice that words escape me often. But if you are just sloppy, there's the word, sloppy around your cuticle line with your liquids, it is going to create a much, much, much bigger and longer battle to get that cuticle line straight. It's not impossible, but it does take a lot more work versus if you were just careful with your liquids to begin with, then you don't have so much of that build up around your cuticle line, and it's so much easier to clean and shape whenever it's dried up. So I'm going to let you guys just kind of finish watching me applying the flakies. And actually, I think that was my second dip, so I might be done applying those. And so you see any of that residue that was left over on my cuticle line, I just was able to scrape that all off there. And so what you're going to see me do next is, once I brush off all the flakies that are kind of hanging out around there, I will put another layer of dip base and then use my toothpick to place flakes in any spots where I feel like I want more flakes, so I can hand place those to make it look a little bit more like what I was hoping for or anticipating. So hopefully that makes sense, but you will get to watch and see what that looks like, and I will be back with more commentary here in just a little bit. So I wanted to just hop in here really quick to ask if you noticed how beautifully those flakies just melted into my dip liquid. That is what I mean when I say that these flakies are just so easy to work with. They just lay so smoothly and so beautifully, and once I place these flakies, I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to let that dip base dry, and then I will do the activator afterwards to not risk messing up my my flakies. And so now what I'm going to do is the ombre on my thumb with the flakies. And so to do that, what I like to use is a brush, and I do the tap on method for this. So I'm going to do my dip base liquid here, and then once I have that applied, and just again gonna state, make sure you're being super careful with your dip base when you are going around your cuticle line to try and save yourself some work further down the road. So I know you can see that I have some residue around my cuticles, like on my skin from when I did my solid dip, and part of that is that color is so vibrant that it just kind of stained my skin for a minute there, but the other part of that is I was not as careful, and so I'm gonna have to file all that off. But with the ombre, as you can see, I just take a brush, and this is similar to an eyeshadow brush, but I just dip it into the flakes to kind of pick some up on the brush, and then I just start tapping away. And so I'm not touching the brush to the nail, I'm just hovering over it and tapping with my index finger. So you can see the flakes still left behind on the brush there. But that is all I'm doing, is just tapping it on there. And so once I have that done, just trying to get those flakies off that brush there in my skin. Once I have that done, then I just kind of look and see where the flakes landed, press down those flakies near my cuticle line and the thicker spots to kind of see. And then if the ombre isn't fading enough for me, then I will just take some flakies and kind of sprinkle it on top to get a little bit more of the faded look that I'm going for. So you'll see that in just a minute, but don't forget to take your cuticle stick or a toothpick and just kind of go around your cuticle line to get off what you can. And you can see I'm kind of scraping away there, trying to get a little bit of that dried residue from the solid off if I can. But that is pretty much it. And then if you want to do another layer, you can totally do another layer and just do more dip base and do some sprinkly again with the brush and tap it on there. But that is pretty much it. I mean, it is a super easy process in my opinion. So I'm going to let you watch me finish up my thumb, and I will be back in just a bit. you can see, I am sprinkling the flakies on, like I mentioned before, to kind of give that ombre a little bit of a better fade effect there. And then before that, you saw me place flakies in any spots where I felt like I needed more flakies. So that is one great thing about the flakes, is that you can fill in any gaps or anything like that with your cuticle stick and just placing them wherever you would like them. So now I'm gonna do the design on my index and ring finger, and I'm just doing like this half moon type of design, which is super popular right now. But I am using my gel liquids for this step. So what I do need to do is actually activate all of my nails and buff and file and shape and all that good stuff. So that is what I'm actually gonna do right now. And so I'm activating everything. And one thing about the flakies for me is I don't use a clear dip top coat or anything like that, or not top coat, but just a clear dip to encapsulate, because one, I feel like it can dull the shine of glitters and flakes and foils and all that good stuff, but also because I use gel, it's a easier way to encapsulate without losing that shine. Also, when I do file and buff, if I lose any flakes because I don't encapsulate, I can easily place flakies on there. So you can see my thumb, when I filed and shaped and buffed around my cuticle line, I lost a lot of those flakes, but that's okay, because when I do my gel, I can place those flakes. So to do the design, I use gel liquids. I always do gel liquids for my top coat anyway. I use the ones that do need a light, so if you don't use gel and you're interested, you will need to invest in a lamp. I know Sally Hansen makes a no lamp gel top coat, so that's an option too, but I haven't tried that yet. So I will probably get some to try it out just to kind of see how that goes so I can help. But in the meantime, I do stick with my gel liquids. So I'm going to put a dollop of gel base on just the lid of an empty powder jar. And then that way, when I am putting the flakies on my nail, I have that to access easily, so that way I'm not taking the gel off of my nail, and I'm just taking it from that lid to get the tip of my cuticle stick wet, so that way it can pick up the flakies and I can place them on my nail. So it's just a little bit easier for me that way. So I'm going to do the gel base on my index finger and ring finger, and then I'm going to place my flakies with the design, and then we will wrap up. So I'm going to let you guys finish watching that, and then I will be back to just go over last minute things and wrap this video up. So enjoy. all finished up, and I'm going to cure my gel base for 30 seconds. I applied gel base to the rest of my nails as well, and then we're going to top coat. I love using a gel top coat. The dip top coats for me were just too finicky, and I somehow always managed to contaminate my bottles. So after so many ruined bottles, I just gave up and stuck with the gel top coat. So when you're using gel top coat, just make sure that you cap your edges. Be careful that you don't have streaks in it, because when you cure it, it kind of makes it like almost like you have lines and it's bumpy, and feeling my nails when they're bumpy just kind of drives me insane too. So just be careful when you're using the gel top coat to make sure that you're not leaving behind any streaks, because then when it cures, you'll see it and feel it. You can always turn your hand upside down, so gravity will help out there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, the gel top coat is just so incredibly shiny. And I think I said this, but don't forget to cap your edges, especially if you use peel base. You don't want to risk a pop off before you're ready. And that's pretty much it. So here's the finished product. You can see that I filled in the gap on my thumb with the flakies, and then top coated that. And like I said, the shine is just so incredible. It just really, I think, helped make these flakes just pop and stand out. So I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, please reach out. I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching my video, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.